scope of wanting to have executive presence. Who has it? How do you get it? How do you describe it? And today I want to take a look at it in a more holistic approach, aside from it just being, all right, how does someone have executive presence? What do you do to build that and to build kind of your own personal brand when you enter a room or when you're interacting with people? So today I would like to make this a little bit more interactive than we have previously for this masterclass series, but I think it will be fun to hear what you guys have to say. So with that, who am I? I'm Dr. Claire Muselman. I absolutely love the science of people and human behavior. It is my favorite thing in the world to be able to make people feel seen, heard, acknowledged, and valued. I love studying human behavior. I think it's fascinating. I like to be at conferences and watch people like we get to do right now. So I also feel like I've got a pretty good chameleon effect. And we're going to talk about this and how you fit yourself and you color yourself to your surroundings or the people that you interact with. So whether that be, at your child's soccer game, hanging out with parents, or working with students, or being at a conference with attorneys that might be from Illinois, or whatever the situation is, like how do you actually flex your muscles or your communication muscles so that people feel that you are approachable and likable, as much as sometimes we prefer people to not really care about that. I am Iowa born and raised and super proud of it, because Iowa nice is a real thing. I really believe this. I love my Florida peeps, but there's no place like Iowa. So with that, we will get moving today. So we're going to talk about why does that executive presence matter? We're going to also go through what the social game is and how you can actually play it to your advantage. We're going to talk about first impressions and actually what people think when they first see you. I'm going to give you a little dazzle, sparkle, shine, and some glitter in your conversations. Talk about how do you make moments memorable so that when you leave an interaction with somebody, they feel like it was meaningful and they don't forget you as a result. And then we're going to talk about likability and how we can be more approachable and more likable. And then definitely want some questions and answers and kind of what you guys have done in your life and where we think that we could enhance and move forward. So I'm going to open this up to our participants. And if no one answers, then I will call on you. So why executive presence? So why does this matter? Mari, you're on the top of my screen. So
I hate being put on the spot.
But why does executive presence matter? Why is this a topic that you guys came here to hear about today? What do you think?
Come on, guys. We want to know.
Kimberly Marsh.
I think it's always great to be improving yourself and get some critical feedback on what your executive presence is.
Sure. So
this is Sandra.
Oh, right. Sandra, hello. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Claire. I like your enthusiasm. I think that matters because people judge you with the way you look. Yep. And if you don't look, if people perceive you the wrong way, then the relationship can be, not as good as we expected, to be, or some conception or something.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Thank you for that. So when we talk about executive presence, we know people who excel in this. Like they walk into a room and instantly take ownership of that room. They're instantly respected. Whatever they say, they are able to grasp attention of other people and get in the intent. And there's like an intenseness that comes into this because these people just have this type of energy when they walk in. So why does that matter? It matters in a stance of memorability, trying to be a leader of people in any capacity. It matters if you're trying to cultivate movement or do any type of change. Like if you're trying to change the workers' compensation industry, you've got to come in with this kind of energy that makes people want to be a part of something bigger. So how do you get that? A lot of this starts with self-reflection. So this has been a masterclass series of where we talk about bursting through the walls of mediocrity. And a lot of this starts with how we look at ourselves and how we perceive ourselves. And the executive presence part comes from how others see us. But we've got to start by looking at ourselves first and being honest with what we truly see back. Like when you look in the mirror, how do you talk to yourself? What kind of self-talk do you use? Do you use positive self-talk? Are you hard on yourself? Do you give yourself some grace? What does that look like? Because how you set your tone for your day is going to completely change how you're going to go out into the outside world. So when we look at these things, when we're looking at executive presence, how do you get it? A lot of it starts with confidence. So in our prior masterclass series, I've talked about how confidence is like a tree. And so your roots are that confidence, so that no matter what happens in life, that can be your tree branches and your leaves and whatnot, when the world is, giving you the wind gusts or whatnot, you know who you are at your core. And the deeper that those roots can go, the better that you're going to be, and the better you're going to be able to weather those storms. So when do you feel like you get executive presence? When do you feel like you've actually achieved that? I'm opening this back up because these kind of where I want to hear what you guys think on this stuff as we move in to our next couple topics. When do you know it's been achieved? Beth, I already picked on Kimberly.
You're going to do that. I would say there's a matter of respect that comes with that, when people are coming to you and looking to you for answers, but doing so in a way that they're not afraid, or they're not, they're looking for you to help guide them in a positive way.
Absolutely. So when we think of leaders, this is probably the number one thing we think of, is how well are they at cultivating movement and momentum? And respect is a huge component of that. So when we think about who has exceptional presence, I want you guys to give me some examples. Who, and go big, like you can think anybody in the world, who do you think of has an exceptional presence? When you are near them, you hear them talk, you see them speak, whatever that looks like. Who is that for you guys? If you go ask children, they're going to always say the president. It cracks me up.
J-Lo.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. It is like this fierce, sassy confidence of walking through and just owning life. So where is this need?
Beyonce for me.
Oh, for sure.
Oprah.
Yeah. Who else?
There's so many people.
I'm thinking.
Guys need some coffee. Let's go. It's noon. All right. Well, let's break it down. So we're going to focus on 5 areas today that I want you to be able to have takeaways with, and you're going to have homework. So I'm going to give you these. We're going to go through these 5 areas to focus on, and you will have homework before our next masterclass series. So we're going to talk about first impressions and what people see. We're going to talk about conversations, how to make yourself memorable, likability, and the power of connection. So with that, we're going to start by the social game. So one of the common concepts that we have been taught forever is fake it till you make it. Guess what? Everyone can see through that. Don't do that. Authenticity has been on the rise and has been becoming such an important concept. People want to understand the uniqueness and the vulnerability that exists within humans. So this whole concept of fake it till you make it, plaster on a smile, people can see through that so directly. And when we look at it, when you're trying to fake something in life, the authenticity doesn't exist. And then you don't trust that person that's on that other side of whether it be leading, speaking, in a conversation, whatever that looks like. The authenticity spectrum has been continuing to be pushed into leadership and self-leadership. And we're looking at reflection and self-efficacy. It matters. People want those authentic people to be a part of their lives, and having that unique nature, understanding that it's okay to not be okay, being vulnerable, getting to own your own failures, whatever that looks like. People want to see more of that. So the more real you can be, and the not faking it till you make it. 78% of people can spot a fake smile. So it's just something that I love that we've talked about this forever. Like, fake it till you make it. No, people see right through it. Just be you. It's okay. You can be you. Be happy with who you are. Remember that attitudes are contagious. So what do you say to yourself right when you get out of bed in the morning? What does that look like for you? Are you excited? Like, today's gonna be a great day, or let's get up today. We have the opportunity to shape our attitude from the moment that we wake up. And then when we go and we start getting ready and we're looking in the mirror, we also have the ability to change our attitude purely in how we are talking to ourselves. When we look at how we use self-talk in a positive landscape, or if we meet ourselves with grace, there are different ways that you can change your attitude. And those attitudes are contagious. So if you want to bring a negative attitude into the world, guess what? Negativity likes negativity. We already have a negativity bias as humans. And so when we're working to change that, or to see the light or to practice gratitude and see the world in a different lens, we've got to take some actual accountability of that, and starting with our own thoughts, starting from right when you wake up in the morning. The other thing to remember is that when we're looking at being social and we're participating in meetings or groups or organizations, going to conferences, doing whatever that is, being in sales, being around people, you do have the ability to get along with everyone. You can get along with everyone. You just don't have to. So think about just situations that you've been in lately, and especially as we are coming back out of this pandemic, where now we're being back engaging with people face to face, people are a little on edge and a little more nervous than they were before. So when we're looking at human behavior and how we're going to be social, these interactions are very intentional. They're very driven by meaning and purpose. And so having that authenticity come to these components, as well as really trying to increase the likability so that these interactions, you leave people feeling better than you found them. You've got two options when you are engaging with other people. You can have a positive interaction or you don't. So it's not like there's a medium to this or a negative. If you don't leave someone with a positive interaction, it just is like a moot point then, because leaving somebody feeling indifferent is just as bad as it being a negative interaction. So keep that in the back of your mind as we work through this. Vince Lombardi said, confidence is contagious, and so is lack of confidence. People will recognize both. So keep that in mind. How do you want to be perceived? Do you want to be negative Nancy or positive Polly? I have some beautiful colors and whatnot. So places to thrive. I want you to think about this. And this is just a few. I mean, you could add in any place on the world here. But where do you feel that you thrive when we are talking about human interactions? Do you like to interact with people at bars, nightclubs, restaurants, house parties, cafes, boardrooms, the gym, office meetings, conferences, grocery stores? Think about places where you feel your best self when you're interacting with people. Because when we're starting to look at the executive presence and cultivating camaraderie throughout this process, if you can focus on the areas that make you feel good, like if you love going to the gym and it makes you feel great, then have more interactions at the gym. Start doing things with your friends, like going to group fitness classes or whatnot. Think about the areas in which you feel comfortable. If coffee shops are that and you're in sales, start doing your sales meetings at coffee shops. If that's not your jam, then don't do that. But think about where you feel good and start thinking about that when we're looking at interacting with other people. We can take control in a lot of different ways of our interactions and how we are showing up to be our very best self. We can take these controls for better success by focusing on where are we from a location standpoint. Over the past 2 years, we have been able to work anywhere. So start using that to your advantage, especially from that sales standpoint. If you can figure out ways that you can be in locations that, again, make you thrive, make you feel comfortable, and give you ownership over whatever you're doing in this capacity, then do that. Then you look at like the situation with how you're interacting. When we look at events or social events that we have done over the past few years, we've had to revamp things. I remember when everyone was trying to do the Zoom meetings, or it was like Zoom happy hour, and then we were done with doing Zoom happy hour because there were a lot of them. When we look at, there's so many different mediums that we are able to use now, and this is where you got to figure out what works for you. Where do you thrive? And then if you can pick the people with whom you want involved in this, think about that too. There's a lot more control that we have in our social situations and how we show up that we don't give ourselves enough credit for. So think about this and where you really do have the power to control these dynamics when you're interacting with other people. The other thing that we're going to talk about is learning to say no. Mari can laugh with me on this because this is not one of my strong suits. But I love this because Lady Gaga presents a very strong point on this. And as you can see, she says, I started to say no. I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. I'm not taking that picture. I'm not going to that event. I'm not standing by that because that's not what I stand for. And slowly but surely, I remembered who I am. And then you go home, you look in the mirror, and you're like, yes, I can go to bed with you every night because that person, I know that person. That person has balls, that person has integrity, that person has an opinion. So again, when we're looking at the power of choice within ourselves, we can say yes, we can say no. We can figure out what situations make us feel comfortable and thrive. We can find situations that we don't. Then it's also what do you do with that once you know those situations? Figuring out what you can say yes to, what you can say no to, focusing on the power of choice and what you truly want to do. I think everyone here, I'm going to look for a raise of hands. You guys ever feel like you can't say no if someone asks you to go to an event, if somebody asks you to do a favor? When's the last time you guys have said no? It's a tough situation. Annalise, when's the last time you said no?
Never.
Never. The word no is not in my vocabulary.
Never.
Yeah.
It's bad.
So one of the things we've got to remember is that sometimes it's okay to say no, so you can say yes to something that's more important or more meaningful, or that makes you thrive in a different capacity. So Annalise, guess what? Your homework this week is going to be to say no to something.
Not to me. I need you.
Find somebody else.
So at the end, so we've got these 5 sections. At the end of each section, I'm going to give you a bud to bloom, because this is all about blooming and becoming our very best selves. So just kind of a little summary of what we're talking about. Cultivate awareness in yourself. What do you like? What do you not like? What interactions make you feel more comfortable? You know, one that I think is one that I think is becoming on the rise is a lot of people are uncomfortable in drinking situations these days. So if you don't like to drink alcohol or you don't want to be around it, then do stuff at coffee shops. Meet up and do those type of situations if you don't want to be around that. So this is, again, focusing on what do you like? What do you not like? How do you actually build this into a fostering situation that makes you comfortable with who you are from all of the standpoints? Stop forcing yourself to socialize in ways that drain you. If you don't want, again, like just going to use the alcohol example, if you don't like going out to bars or doing happy hours or whatnot, then don't do it. There are other ways that we can find to build camaraderie and to socialize and interact that are outside our normal scope. We're going to talk about these scripts that we've built over the years. Go where you can bloom. We want people to be blooming and thriving in life versus merely just surviving and getting through. It is okay to say no. If you can learn to say no, you can say yes to stuff that's awesome. Actively focus on the F principle. And I'm going to give this to you as a little tidbit for if it is not an F yes, it should be a no. So when you are looking at your time, a lot of times we look at it in 24 hours a day. I'm going to challenge you guys to start looking at it by a week. It's 168 hours in a week. I'm not super great at math, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So when you look at it, start looking at your life set up in weeks and these hours and breaking it into little half-hour blocks. And what you can do with this is really be conscientious of your time. Where are you spending your time? How can you make yourself happier? If you start looking at, all right, I spend 2 hours a day on social media. I don't feel great afterwards. Okay, so let's stop doing that. Let's find ways that we can put more positive things into your life, like going out for a walk, getting outside, getting fresh air, maybe listening to an Audible, a book on tape, whatever that is, whatever it is for you. But we've got to start by cultivating awareness around it, understanding that you've got how many hours in your week and what do you want to do at that time. So if it is not an F yes that gets you excited to jump out of bed in the morning, then it should be a no. And start giving yourself that freedom to say no so that you can say yes to something that's going to make you thrive and feel amazing. And with that, the more that you can take ownership and have awareness surrounding all of this, your confidence is going to thrive and bloom. And that can be contagious for your friends and family and coworkers. And that's what the world needs more of. It needs more of you living your very best life. So your homework for this section, your goal is to say no to one event or task this week that you are dreading. Now be mindful. If your boss asks you to do something, maybe that's not the great avenue. But if you've got events that you know you're dreading, like let's say there's a family dinner this weekend that you just really don't want to go to, it is okay to say no. This is about you taking care of yourself. Figure out what makes you thrive, what depletes your energy, and say no to one thing this week so that you can say yes to you. Your other piece of homework is to find your walkout song. So my Beyonce fans, Mari, you got to have your walkout song. If you are in a bad mood or you are just not living your best life, not feeling like you are in your good headspace or your attitude, find a song that makes you feel fabulous. Play it in your head, put it on a playlist so that when you're walking into work or you're walking in the grocery store, if you are just not in a great mood, find your walkout song. This is going to be your song that makes you just feel vibrant, and that vibrational energy will transmit to other people. It'll also boost your mood, but find out what that song is for you. Those are your 2 pieces of homework from this section. All right, next up, we're talking about first impressions. Before you even open your mouth, people have already made a first impression about you. fascinating. It is done within like the first 3 seconds of meeting someone. Our brains have already processed what we think about people. We go into this fight or flight response, and I'll go into this in a little bit more, where we are constantly analyzing a threatful situation. It's just the way that humans are made up. It was that fight, flight, freeze mentality when we were, way before we have evolved. But the nice thing about first impressions are that it's not always a one and done. That first impression can be remade. So when you're meeting people and you're walking through learning new people's names, interacting, especially as we're coming out of the pandemic, we're starting to get interacting again. It's not always that I've met you that one time, oh, it didn't go well, etc. Every time that we get to be back in person now, it's almost like it's a new experience. And so having that first impression again, how do you want people to see you? I like to be color. I like to be glitter and sparkles, and I'm okay. I always have sunglasses on. Those are things that I'm okay with people seeing me in that capacity. How do you want to be seen? Do you want to be dressed in black all the time? Does that make you feel good? Do you want to be colored? Do you want to be vibrant? What do your shoes say about you? What do your clothes say about you? Because again, before you even opened your mouth, people have already made an assessment about you. Now, with that, I do want to caveat one very freeing statement that has really made me feel great over the past few years. It is none of your business what other people think about you. None of your business. Something to think about, because it's true. But how do you also want to show up? And if you're going to put your best foot forward, what is that going to look like? So think about that when we're looking at this. So when we talk about why humans have this interaction like that, all right, so we've already made our assessment and we haven't even talked yet. The brain wants to process, are you a friend or a foe? It's going to do its personality, or it's going to do its subconscious personal safety check. Are we okay? Is there a threat? This is immediately going on when you are approaching somebody new. Then it moves into, okay, how confident are you? This is that level 2 that your brain is processing, again, before someone has even spoken. And then it processes to the level 3 where it's like, okay, wait, are you an ally? Are you an enemy? Am I going to like you? Are you going to like me? Will you have my back? Are we going to be okay? And it's never about what you say, but it's how you say it. So when we're looking at making first impressions, what's the tone? How does this happen? What is your handshake like? What are those first experiences someone is going to have with you? And so it's very interesting that we operate in this capacity, but I'm excited when you're doing your homework from this section to see what you guys get back from the next person that you meet. When you consciously start paying attention to how you are analyzing that person that's standing in front of you. So when you meet people and you are having a conversation, use your hands. People are much more memorable when they're able to use your hands. If you pay attention to TEDx speakers and doing their TED Talks, they use an average of 460 hand gestures per talk. 460. So we have those people that we know talk with their hands. I know I do it too. That's actually encouraging. It builds trust. Just something that happens with our minds. So use your hands to gesture because it helps your audience connect with you, whoever that audience might be, and it helps establish trust. We've all learned the handshake rule. Got to have a strong handshake. People evaluate you based upon how firm that handshake is. And then pay attention to how you stand. So right now, I want you guys to do an assessment. If you're standing, if you're sitting, excuse me. Ooh. I want you to do an assessment. Are you slumped forward? Are you slouching back? Are you relaxed? Are you leaned over to the side? I want you guys to shift your weight. I want you to stand, or if you're standing, go for it. Or if you're seated, I want you to roll your shoulders back and down. And I want you to think about opening through your shoulders so that your energy can be pushed out towards the screen. So shoulders up, back, down. When we talk about energy, we want to take up space when we're meeting people. You're trying to exude executive presence. We want those shoulders back and down and open because that creates more of an energy dynamic for people to receive and feel how you're feeling. Now think about it. If you're in a bad mood and you're closed off and your shoulders, go ahead and pull your shoulders down and forward. It doesn't make people feel confident or inviting or want to come talk to you. So when we're looking at executive presence, pay attention to how you stand, how you take up space, how your shoulders look. Remember, shoulders back and down and take up space. Also, when you're standing, ladies, we do this so much. We cross our legs. No, uncross your legs, whether you're seated or you're standing. Make sure that you have this space for for you to exist in, because that is the energy that you will be putting off towards other people. So I'm excited for you guys to try that with the next people that you come into contact with. Also, eye contact. It's amazing to me how many people still avoid eye contact, but be intentional with your eye contact. And if you're worried that you are not doing a good job of it, try and focus on the other person's eye color. Make it a conscious decision that the next time, like if I'm going to see Mari in person, I'm going to be trying to figure out what is Mari's eye color. But it'll kick your brain into being more cognizant of what you're doing, what your surroundings are, being engaged in the situation, and it puts you in the present moment. So things to think about when we are looking at these first impressions. So trust is confirmed when you are using your hands. Reminder of that. Pay attention to your stance and make sure that you are using the right amount of eye contact. Your homework for this section is to practice your handshake. Go ahead, next person you see, just walk up, see if you have a firm handshake or if it is clammy or if it is weak or a noodle. See what your handshake is like. Be cognizant of it. Now, you also don't want to death grip the person on the other side, but you definitely want to have that confident presence when you present your hand and you have a nice firm handshake. Then we're refreshing our stance. We are not going to be small. We are here to take up space. Make sure shoulders back and down, and you are not crossing your legs when you're standing. And then practice meaningful eye contact. Throughout a conversation, you want eye contact between 60 to 70%. So whatever, if you need to stare like here on a person or whatnot, just make sure that you are making gentle eye contact and not staring at them, but gentle eye contact so that people know that you're engaged with what they're saying. So moving forward, so we have now come into our social cues. We have our social circles. We have now done our first impressions. Now we're moving into conversations, the art of conversations. Guess what, guys? It has nothing to do with you. When we are having conversations with other people, the goal is to learn as much about them as possible, because guess what? We like to talk about ourselves. The likability factor comes when we can get people to open up and tell us about themselves. So think about this. I would like one of you to introduce yourself. So I'm going to pick a random audience member. Marin Mooney. Very random. Marin's with me in California. So good morning, Marin.
Good morning.
Marin, if you're going to introduce yourself, can you just all right, so today we're here at CLM Annual. You're going to go meet somebody new. How do you introduce yourself?
Well, so this morning at breakfast, I was looking for a table to sit at, and I just asked where there was an open seat. And then I sat down and I said, my name's Marin Mooney. I'm with the Lights Company. What's your name? So that's kind of what I do. And then I like to find out where they're from, what they do, where they work, that kind of thing.
Thank you.
You're
All right,
welcome.
Megan Cook, you are next to Marin on my screen. How do you introduce yourself when you meet new people?
I always start with a smile. So, I mean, when I'm approaching people, I like to smile, ask them how they're doing. If it's a similar situation, hey, can I have a seat here? And then just kind of start the conversation. So how's your day going? What do you like about this cafe? Just kind of break the ice and then start talking about what we do and how we've ended up where we are.
Awesome. Thank you for that. All right. So when we are mingling, Marin gives a great example this morning at breakfast. When we go to introduce ourselves, we always go with our company and our job title. It's fascinating. It's just who we are and how we identify ourselves. So most of the time when we're at mingle, when we're at mixers or we're going to breakfast or whatnot, and we're trying to figure out who people are, we start out with, oh, hey, so what do you do? And then the conversation continues with, oh, okay. And then where are you from? Tends to be the next most common question that we ask other people. Oh, okay. Well, what are you doing here? What brings you here? Why are you here? Oh, okay. And then conversation tends to move on to the next person. You go get another drink, you get food, etc. And that's kind of how we, as our social circles have been built over the years, that's kind of the conversation that we use. So we are going to make you guys fabulous and fantastic and start changing that up. We're going to start flipping some of our social scripts so that we can make you memorable and likable in this capacity when we are doing these type of mingling events. So instead of starting with, oh, hey, what do you do? Or how, or et cetera, when we're doing that, where do you work? Where are you from? Et cetera. Start by asking somebody what's the highlight of their day. If you are in any of my social circles or any of my classes or anything, I like to start with, give me 3 good things that have happened to you since the last time I've seen you. Or what is the highlight of your day? Asking people different questions to give them a moment to reflect on what's going on in their world can help set the tone for conversation. When you ask somebody for a high point of their life or something that's happened to them that day, it automatically is going to cause them to pause for a second and reflect on something good in their life. That's going to put them in a positive mindset, and that's going to increase the likability factor for you, because now they're in a positive headspace. We can't control what's going on in the outside world for other people, but we can try and navigate the space that we are going to hold with them. So starting things out with, well, what's the highlight of your day? What personal passion project are you working on? Have you had anything exciting come up in your life? What's your story? One of the hardest things that is for us as humans to do is to tell people who we are if we take out our positions. So a lot of us identify as mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, etc., and we identify ourselves through our work. But if you take those positional titles away, who are you? So asking people what their story is, or what do they stand for? What do those contacts look like? It makes people reflect for a moment, and it might give you a deeper engagement with this other person throughout this process. Then, of course, we move into the what do you do? How do you do? How are you? Etc. And most people are going to answer when you say, how are you? They're going to say, fine, or I'm good. So then you have to go ask again and say, no, how are you really? And trying to get people to open up in this landscape. So here's our little flip scripts. Instead of saying how's work, try saying working on any exciting projects recently. Instead of saying how are you, switching it to what's the highlight of your day. Instead of where are you from, what's your story? Or have you been busy? What do you do to unwind? We're just trying to flip the script and change the narrative, because it makes you more memorable and it can create a more positive experience. Because remember, you're going to leave people either feeling positive that they interacted with you or moot. So we want to try and get people into that positive space when we're trying to practice executive presence, because we want people to feel that cultivation of trust and camaraderie throughout this process. So being different also wakes people up. When you ask people, okay, if you ask someone, how are you? I love to respond with, I am living the dream, because people will do a double take and say, what? Well, yeah, we've got a lot of good stuff to be grateful for, but think of a fun or a quirky response to this. The other things that you can do to try and shake up the space is, if we are going to be identifying ourselves by job titles, if you have control over this, and Mari, I think your team does a great job of this, spice up your job titles. You can make some really cool ones. When I was over at NARS, I was the Chief Workers Empowerment Officer. Instead of being workers' compensation, let's make some cool stuff happen. Spice up your job titles. Just because it's always been that way does not mean it needs to stay that way. And if you've got a little spice to your job title, people are going to ask you about it. Like, oh, what is that? Doesn't have to always fit inside a box. We can change things to be unique and authentic, and it will keep that memorability of who you are when you're interacting with other people. You can also
it's conversation. A lot of people ask me like, hey, what is your title? What is that? So it also sparks a lot of conversation.
Absolutely. It can create depth through that conversation too, because it goes into the whole philosophy of kind of who you stand for and what your story is. So with this, you can also, go back. Come on, self. There we go. All right. You can also put a unique quote in your email signature line. I was talking to Joe Rodriguez out in California the other day. He had one that I was like, I really like that quote. And it just made me pause and take a brief moment to just be like, and how it resonated with me. So if you can control that as well, I know sometimes work will not allow that, but if your employer does allow you to have a cool email signature, or if it's in your personal email, do something cool that just have a reflection or whatever you want to do that makes it different, because being different wakes people up and it shakes up the game. Instead of offering coffee, do something unique that is specific to you. And this can kind of be like your own personal brand, or if you're in sales and marketing, this is kind of one of those things that makes you unique. So to doing coffee, if we're at a conference, maybe vanilla tea. I know Mari's group does flowers. Sorry, Mari, you're just an easy target because you guys do things so differently, and it's great. But instead of thank you cards, think outside the box too. What about stickers or pins or lollipops, whatever that might be? Just anything that makes it unique to you, or something that is specific to maybe your geographic location or what you're going through at that point. If you're building something or a passion project that's on the side, maybe having something in your email signature that reflects that. So people ask. Just being different, it wakes people up. Patricia Fripp says, it is not people's job to remember you. It is your obligation and responsibility to make sure that they don't have a chance to forget you.
Love
Powerful.
that.
I love this. I think it's positive and it's important, because it isn't. It's not people's job to remember who you are. It's our job to make sure that we are not forgettable. So with that, your takeaways from this part. We don't like to be around boring people. Duh. Spice it up. We've also been in a very monotonous 2 years. Now is your ideal time to shake it up and spice it up. Abandon the social scripts and cues that we have been ingrained since we were children. There's so many scripts that we have that we follow that we've learned either from our parents or aunts and uncles, grandparents, whoever you lived in a house with. Shake it up. Create unique small talk because it's going to matter. It makes you memorable and it makes people have a positive experience with you. And use unique topics to engage others. And most importantly, when you're talking to other people in conversations, say their name. This is one of the whole things that goes into the Starbucks experience. And I love it because I have Leah, that's my drive-through girl, on Mondays and Wednesdays at Starbucks by my house. And I love it because even when I'm going through the drive-through, they're like, can I have a name for your coffee? I'm like, it's Claire. And she's like, oh, hey, Claire, it's Leah. I'm like, hey, Leah. And then we pull up to the front. And she's like, hey, how's your day going? And it creates a unique experience. And that's one of the things that Starbucks has been able to do very well with its brand. Think about that from your own personal side. Like, I know it makes me feel great when I get recognized that she's like, oh, hey, because it makes me feel seen, heard, acknowledged, and valued. And that is how you want to drive and establish human connection. So think about this in that context. So with that, your homework, try a new conversation starter. So Marin, today at this conference, start conversations with a new script. Try something unique with your name, title, or your signature line. And when you're walking down a hallway and you're going to pass someone, instead of smiling, say hi. These are very small little changes that over time will help you grow in your presence, in your energy field, and how people respond to you. All right, next up. So we've been talking about flipping all these scripts. We're changing the game because for your executive presence, we want to make you memorable in a positive way. The best conversations that you are going to have in life have nothing to do with what you say. It's all about what you hear. So when you're leaving that conversation, what just took place? What did you learn about someone else? How is this looking at it from a global landscape of, was this conversation meaningful and purpose driven? Or I wish I would have had my 10 minutes back to my life. Think about that and how we interact with each other and how people walk away from you. Talking about ourselves gives us pleasure. So having conversations where you continue to ask people about themselves or asking them what kind of passion projects they're working on. Why is that a passion project for you? How did you get to that? What made you decide to go down that road? Trying to dig deeper into people's why is it's really fascinating to see what people will tell you, as well as how it will make it memorable for you. People will also remember how you made them feel in this moment. People feel good when they're talking about themselves. So if you can get people to expand and kind of go deeper and dig deeper into their why while you're talking with them, they are more likely to have a pleasurable experience in talking with you, and they're more likely to remember you. So highlight people's strengths in this capacity. So when you are doing this type of active listening and reflective listening with other people, think about what you're hearing and utilize it to focus on their strengths. So for an example, I give the positive label here. You know everyone. You must be a great networker. You can think about things then from what you hear and what you see and turn it into a positive. So you can give someone a positive label throughout that conversation that you're having with them. It makes people feel good. When they feel good, it's a positive experience for you. So Larry King says, I never learned anything while I was talking. Powerful. I'm a talker. I got to start not doing that as much. So I will have my own homework for that for this week as well. All right. So your takeaways from this. If you see something, say something. If you like someone's clothes, tell them. If you think someone had a great speech, go tell them. If you see someone at a networking event that is doing a killer job, go say something. Acknowledge people. It is fascinating. You're going to get these little nudges in life every so often that are going to be like, I should go talk to that person. Do it. Follow those nudges. Those are your intuition. And if you can do this, especially when you're trying to work a social scene or a setting or a corporate event or whatever that is, make sure that you're paying attention to those cues to go try and talk or highlight something positive that's transpired over the past week. See something, say something. Listen with purpose and always search for the good in people. We do such a great job of being negative in the world. Just again, humans are wired with the negativity bias. So we've got to really focus on trying to find the good and then acknowledge that when we see that in other people. Be the high point of people's interactions for the day. Give people a reason to remember you. And then when you expect the wart, because apparently I have a typo today, when you expect the wart, is exactly what you're going to get. Pygmalion effect. If you expect things are going to go great, they usually do. If you expect things are going to go poorly, they usually do. This is the Pygmalion effect. You determine how things work based upon your thoughts. Remember, how do we get up in the morning? What's that first thought? How are we going to set our tone for the day? Same thing when you're interacting with other people. How do you ask them questions? How do you get them to be in a positive headspace while they're talking with you so that that experience with you is positive, memorable, and leaves somebody feeling great afterwards? So your homework on this: introduce a friend or a colleague to somebody else that they should know. One of the interesting things is we have this innate bias to want to keep our friends close. And what I want to challenge you guys to do is let's build your network to build with my network. And then we have this even bigger network. So your goal during this time is to find a friend or a colleague that you should introduce someone else to. And by doing this, when you do the introduction, rave up your friends. This is the brag time of saying, this is my friend Kimberly. Kimberly is this fantastic, amazing saleswoman from Denver, Colorado, who I enjoy spending time with because she has this amazing personality. She has this beautiful family, and I want to introduce her to my friend Beth from Tampa. Beth and I are book club buddies. She always gives me books that I know are going to help me with my personal growth and development. And I love the time that I get to spend with Beth. Beth, meet Kimberly. Kimberly, meet Beth. So try and find ways that you can brag up your friends when you are trying to make these introductions, because it already sets a positive tone for that. But then also you're making one fantastic person meets another fantastic person, and it can help solve a problem that somebody might have through networking. So who impresses you? Who is an amazing friend in your life? Go tell them. Tell someone today how great they are. So there's your homework. All right, next up, likability. Iowa nice, it's a thing. I swear, it's a thing. And we joke about it, but there's a real context to this. I know April Grimm's on here, so she can laugh with me on this, but Iowa nice is like a really big thing. It does matter in life if you are likable. It absolutely does. People don't want to be around people that they don't like. But when we think about what does likability mean, it's not seeking the approval of other people. It's being approachable. It's being nice and just having good interactions with people. How do you build this? You've got to find connection points. So when you're reaching out to learn about someone new, or you're trying to do your research before you're going to go talk to somebody, maybe in a sales capacity, or a new person that's going to start on your team, focus on 3 things. If you can find that you have a mutual connection with them, that's an easy end to start with. Then find out if you have a mutual interest. So if you're looking at someone's LinkedIn profile, you can see, what do you have any mutual connections? All right, what pages do they follow? Who's important to them? What's meaningful in their lives? And then try and find a mutual organization that you both are a part of, or maybe would like to be a part of. If you can try and find those connection points, the more connection points you have with someone, the more likable you become. So be a power connector. So one of the other things is when you're meeting people and you can ask someone, what's a challenge of yours right now? And then see if you can try and find 3 people to connect them to help solve that problem or that challenge that they may currently be experiencing. So a little summary on this: the more you have in common with someone, the more likable you are. So again, think about it from looking at organizations, looking at mutual interests, looking at people that they might be connected with that you're connected with. When we start that whole conversation with, where are you from? Oh, we go down that road of, oh, do you know so-and-so? So starting to try and find those connection points, but don't overthink it. Again, we're trying to be authentic and just being our true selves. Go deeper into substance when you're talking with people, asking them the why. We kind of just touched on this where, all right, what's a passion project you're working on? Why is that a passion for you? How did you get there? How did you decide to start doing this? What does that look like for you? And when you make somebody's problem your own, taking it into account with, okay, you have a challenge going on. All right, how can I help you solve that problem? Okay, maybe I know someone. Let me connect you. Then you can brag up the connections with, hey, Beth, meet Kimberly. Kimberly, meet Beth. If you have a prescription issue, call Kimberly. This is how they can help. But trying to solve problems in those capacities. Think outside the box. Try to be that power connector. This will help increase how you are seen and the experience that someone has in working with you. So, your homework. The next person you meet, try and find 3 things that you have in common with them and try to do it quickly. Like try to do it within like the first 3 minutes of interaction. Maybe your parents, maybe your dog owners, whatever that looks like. Maybe you both like to play tennis. Maybe you're both in California right now, whatever that looks like. Find some mutual connection points that are going and try and do it quickly. Because easier it is to establish that trust and that relationship building on the front end of this. Really get to the why. So kids are very good at this. Why? Why do you do it that way? Why would you do that? When you're talking with someone else and you're trying to dig deeper into who they are, it's not necessarily about just using the why, but it's looking at digging deeper into what is driving them. What is their purpose? What are they looking at from like a mission, vision, values for themselves? And how do you really get into that so you can have a better understanding and have a more trustful connection as a result of talking with them? Asking the why in a context where it's, well, help me understand more. How did you arrive at choosing that type of passion project to focus your efforts on? Really digging in to see what's underneath those layers. It helps create a bond with another human being. And this is what we're trying to do, because we're trying to build our energy, build our presence, have people in a likable space and that want to learn more from us. So create that bond. If you can help someone with something, that is one of the easiest ways to establish a bond. So ask a friend, is there anything I can help you with today? Is there anything I can do to better support you along the way if someone has a challenge going on? Think of things in those contexts. So again, these are your homework for this section. With that, I do want to make sure that I open up a little bit of question and answer time, because I am terrible at doing that in these master classes. So I think we've got like 5 minutes. So I want to open it up, get some of your feedback, your thoughts, your reflection on our executive presence today. And with that, I left some time for the first time ever. Proud.
Excellent. That's all I want to just say. I don't have a question. I'm going to just tell you that because I've got to jump off and go to another Zoom. But as usual, Claire, I come on, I don't care what you talk about. Whatever you talk about, I learn. And, and it's just, it's inspiring and energizing and at the same time relaxing, because there are some things you say that I'm like, okay, I do all that. So it makes me feel a little bit better. So, and that's really what it's all about. So it's that whole combination there. So, but it was great. Thank you so much. And I got to go, and I'm sorry. Bye, everyone.
Okay. Thanks, Donna.
Claire, I'm going to start doing all my meetings in flower fields. So I'm
okay. There you go.
Space. So everyone stay tuned for those invitations, because we're going to start moving that forward.
There we go. That's a good one. Think about the spaces that make you happy.
Yeah, we're going to be meeting there. We're going to be meeting in the forest. We're going outside. That's where all the meetings are going to be held. I love everything that you had to say, Claire, today. Very inspiring. I need to work on some of that stuff, especially on the conversation starters. I'm not that person. I usually will come to the table, sit, say hello, smile, but I don't start a conversation very well. So I need to work on that.
Sure. You got your homework.
I do a lot.
Have your homework. Are there any questions? I do want to make sure that if there are any.
There's a lot of comments, so I'm going to read some through here.
Okay. And hopefully, I know I gave a lot of homework, and I will make sure that I get this over to Mari and Annalise. So if you guys would like a copy of the presentation, and you can do your homework and check it off to make sure that you are doing the things that I've asked you to do.
Hi, Dr. Claire. This is Dr. Dina Miller from Almani Health Institute. So fantastic lecture. I learned a lot. A lot of the stuff that you say are like tools that I use as an ER doctor. But I wanted to ask you in terms of, so it's all about like energy exchange. So you put out something positive and you're hoping you're going to get something positive back. Correct. And I wanted to ask, who is like your most challenging type of person? Is it the negative one, or is it the one that kind of stonewalls you?
I would say it's the negative one. So I would say I'm very empathic. And so I feed off of other people's energy pretty heavily. So when I'm dealing with someone that's negative, that no matter how hard I try, I cannot pull them out of it. Like, it's not always about seeing the glass half full, but I also find that it's important to give people a space. If they're just not in you're not in a good space, it's okay to not be okay. But also it's not okay to sit there and like continue to just sit in the muck time and time again. Like, if you can actually see something in yourself to be able to change it, and you're going to choose not to just because you want to be negative, that's, I think, the ones, because they drain my energy. And so if I can avoid it as much as possible, I try. But I also recognize that there are days that people are just not always going to be in a positive mindset, because stuff happens, and that's okay.
Right.
So I think it's almost a balance of that, but the negative ones are really hard for me to be around.
Okay, I'm kind of glad that you said that, because my challenge is with the one where I don't get any feedback. So, I mean, a lot of the people that come to ER are obviously not planning to be there. I'm meeting people in their worst day of their lives. So I guess, but my struggle is when I don't get anything back, I kind of get stuck. So how do you handle those people?
Continuing to, so pay attention to how it makes you feel. Like, what is it about it that makes you feel different, or you're not getting an exchange back? And does it have anything to do with you? Is it a deep-seated something that's happened in the past? Is it something that you're working through? Or is it just something that you can easily let go? A lot of times when we feel that things hit us in a nerve in some capacity, it's something that we have not addressed before. And so, not to go back to, a lot of it's childhood trauma or childhood development, et cetera. A lot of times it is something from that. So is it something that, like, what's the validation that goes behind it? Like, what are you seeking to get out of that? Or is it something that, like, what is the resonating factor that's causing you to have that kind of response to it?
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah. I put something in the comments, so you'll understand the reason why I'm here.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you, Dr. Miller.
Anybody else? Okay, with that, thank you to Reemployability and to A&S Solutions for being our sponsors today. And if you guys would like to connect, I don't think I actually released the website yet, but it should be up by the end of the week. So, yay, little baby steps, we're getting there.